We end our story here with Grimlock, Rio, Miles, and Haley all in the back of one of the hunters' vans as they drive to a unknown destination, or at least unknown to them here. This is where Grimlock tells them that no matter what happens, no matter what's going to happen, he needs to know that they'll be safe. And he gives them this word that he'll protect them. And this is where everyone actually tries to, convince Grimlock not to go through with this. He doesn't have to kill Craven. He's not that kind of person. He's not that, he's not the monster that Craven wants him to be here. And Miles is kind of, trying to convey this, but he kind of feels like he he understands that Grimlock's gonna kill him here. But Haley and Rio really don't understand it. Haley did meet him, as his Goliath form earlier, but doesn't really understand him like that. And Rio has no idea about it. So she's trying to think that, her nephew is just gonna have to fight this crazy guy just for, him to kill her. And this is where Grimlock pretty much reassures them that he's going to do what he has to do in order to protect them. They pretty much exit the truck, pretty much escorted by the hunters here, and they go to the baseball stadium, which is actually lined with hunters. Their vehicles are out. Their vehicles are outside, and it's being broadcast on every channel and every frequency so that everyone can see this. Craven makes a speech about how he wanted to show the world what true death is. And then he points to Grimlock, who's simply standing there as the hunters hold Rio and the rest of them hostage. This is where we actually go to a distant building and we see Miles and Harry arguing with one another about how they should get Miles out of there. Harry thinks that they could be patient. They could let Grimlock just do what he needs to do and then just end it. However, Pete doesn't want him to go that far. He doesn't want Grimlock to kill Craven because, again, he sees him as better than that. But again, they both know, everyone knows that this does have to be done. Craven's terrorized the city too much. And we then go back to Craven and Grimlock here, and Grimlock just tells him, let's get it done. Let's get this over with. End this here and now. You want death? I'll gladly give it to you. And back at the building, Harry says they're not going to really have a choice in this matter. They're going to have no other choice but to wait for the right opportunity. Otherwise, they risk killing or getting Miles and the rest of his family killed here. This is where we also see other areas of where the broadcast is reached. We see Jurassic World watching it, and we would actually see Darius, Grimlock's younger brother, watching it with the rest of his family, his older brother and his mother. And this is where we can pan back to the football stadium and the fight begins. Craven starts off lunging with his spirit, saying that you will kill me as a beast or the rest of them die. Jumping back and dodging it, Goliath is pretty much just, pops out in his beast form here and just straight up hammer slams Craven into the ground here, thinking that would have done it. However, Craven gets back up from it, a little surprised, but not too worried about it here. Goliath then simply unleashes a barrage of blows against Craven. His huge arms and the force behind each blow easily cracking bone and stuff here. But Craven then retaliates, still tanking the blows, and this time it cuts deeper within Goliath. Goliath jumps back and the wound does heal, but he realizes that Craven had a lot of force behind that. There was something different about him this time. However, before he could really collect his thoughts, Craven's back on the offensive, using his adamantium knives to slash at Goliath's gut, each blow threatening to disembowel him. So Goliath has no other choice but to use a fire pledge to push Craven back, and then uses it to create a barrier around himself. However, as he looks at Craven carefully, he notices that Craven seems to be backing away from the fire rather than rushing through it. And he notices Craven's body twitch in a certain way. And analyzing this and seemingly understanding this, because again, you have to understand Goliath is a very perceptive and very, I guess you could say, very, yeah, I think that's the best word I could put it for, perceptive predator. So he decides to use a flame charge to actually get close to Craven and to block his knives, using the spikes on his back to kind of divert them a little bit and to open Craven up for a fire fang to his throat. As Goliath holds him down, he begins to feel and even see this black goop control and just, well, come out and just wrap Craven. And then Craven punches him off to realize that Craven has actually gotten a hold of a venom symbiote somehow. Not wanting to worry about this, Goliath immediately follows up with a fire kick, dropping Craven and knocking him back here. And then he decides to not let up. He immediately goes to lunge at Craven, but Craven in his symbiote form now has the added boosted speed he needs to actually somewhat keep up with Goliath here. But now that he's disarmed, he's fighting him like an animal, telling him to use it, use every bit of him, use every fiber of his being to kill him. And Goliath responds by unleashing a fire breath in his face here. But this is when Craven says, "Hunters, attack." And in a shocking, well, scene here, we see all these hunters jump in dogpile on Goliath, only for him to unleash a huge fiery explosion out of rage. This sends a fire shockwave, or pretty much a shockwave in general, throughout the arena, almost destroying it, but it knocks out the hunters. And all we see is a raged and pissed off Goliath, who then begins charging up one of his strongest attacks, an overheat. And Craven, knowing that it's pretty much over at this point, he can't beat him. He's tried so many times, but he's happy about it. And then he says, "Yes, do it. End it. Hit me with everything you have. End this now." And then Goliath simply releases the overheat, but he aims it around Craven, burning away the symbiote on purpose. This incinerates the symbiote completely. Now, with the hunters knocked out, Miles and Pete make their way down, webbing up any hunters that are on the ground still and knocking out the ones that remain here. Pete goes to get Miles and his family out. Meanwhile, Harry tries to convince Grimlock not to do it, as he already has the humanized, dying, and weakened Craven by his throat. Harry tells him that he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to prove Craven's point. And Goliath looks at him in almost a "what are you talking about" kind of way. And Harry realizes that he was going to do it anyway. And Goliath pretty much proves it. He juggles Craven from his neck to his head, and then, like a grape, crushes his skull, just leaving nothing. Now, sure, Goliath does, have to get the brain fragments off his hand and stuff, but what he finds in Craven's skull was a data chip, seemingly left there on purpose, as if this is the way Craven wanted to die. Interesting. So Goliath decides to take the data bank, and he simply leaves, with both Miles, Pete, Harry, and the rest of them wondering, where the heck is he going? Where's he gone to? And well, we kind of just see Goliath roaming around the city, and he's smelling the air. He's looking for someone. He's trying to find a scent here, and he locks onto it, and he jumps down into this alleyway and turns into his human form, landing in front of a very, very familiar face. And that would actually be Wraith, who had just stopped a mugging. And Wraith says, "Your world has just changed. Whether it's for better or worse, you need to prepare yourself. Why are you here exactly?" And this is where she actually takes off her mask to kind of have that last bit of, humanity left between the two of them, or because of their interactions they've had earlier. And this is where Grimlock simply states that he wants to thank her. He understands that her work and his are vastly different, but it was fun working with her while it lasted. To which Yuri, a bit shocked by this, but again, she accepts the thank you and tells him to be careful, as his world seems to be a bit more complicated than it seems. To which he simply laughs, turns into his Goliath form, gives her a thumbs up, and then just simply leaves into the rest of the remaining day. We would then fast forward, I would probably say 3 days after Craven's death. New York is cleaned up, and we are at the underwater lab back on Isla Nublar. We actually have Miles actually walking around here and paying a visit for once. And with him is Darius Bowman, Grimlock's younger brother and Miles' younger cousin, obviously. And they're wondering if, well, Darius is more so wondering if he would really see them. And this is where Miles says, yeah, he's changed quite a lot over the years. I think you'll be surprised here. But as they pretty much enter the deeper areas of the lab here, they find hollow maps, hollow prints of giant mechs, the King Titan, Brood Mother, and more importantly, the dragon. Now, you guys are going to understand that for the next season, I have to plan here. But again, I want you guys to leave your ideas down below. Why is the dragon important? Let me know. Now, as they actually look at the schematics, they actually hear two people conversating. And that would actually be Caretaker talking to Grimlock about joining the Midnight Suns. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. And I am planning Season 2, just like I am planning the Season 2 of The Last Autobot and Zilla's Journey. So be sure to comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.